Hello, everyone. It's been a couple of weeks, but welcome back to the Jack and Joe show. We are firmly in playoff season and we're edging towards silly season. So, Jack, how are you doing?
Yeah, all good. Season's done. Now we focus on the playoffs and the transfer window, which is, well, it's not open yet, but there's certainly room for negotiations everywhere.
Yeah, we thought we'd have a little chat about Fulham season, the wonderful fact that we can look at the playoffs and basically just relax and enjoy them, which hasn't happened for a while. And then talking about some transfer rumours because if you're on the Bird app, I think you'll know, or you're on the Telegram, which is fantastic value. Um, it's already kicking off. We've had quite a few rumours. A few of them seem to be quite along the way as well, if you're going to believe what you read, which I obviously always do. But yeah, Jack, I guess firstly we should just talk about the season as a whole. The season's wrapped up. We're not going to speak about Sheffield United at all in this video, just to put that out there. I think everyone's touched on it enough, and it was, oh no, anyway. So let's talk
Again.
about the season as a whole. My favourite as a fan, without a doubt, and my reasoning for that is, I know a lot of people will quite rightly probably say Europa League season, things like that. I was too young to appreciate it. As good as it was, if I was this age now at that time, it would without a doubt be my favourite season, but I wasn't. So I have to take that with a pinch of salt and look at this season and just think it was so fun. It was amazing to be back in stadiums. It was amazing to see us put so many teams to the sword and win the league and win a title for the first time in my Fulham supporting life. Jack, how did you find it? What are your main emotions when you look back on this season?
Yeah, I think it's just been a season of absolute joy, basically, from minute one. Obviously the first game we drew, but in terms of the first away day, 5-1 really set a marker for what the season's going to be like in terms of the dominance we played. And of course, we had 10 men for that game as well for a bit of the game when Harry Wilson got sent off. And yeah, I mean, we've had some bumps along the road, as Scott Parker would say. I mean, the Coventry game, the drop points at Bristol City within that little period, and then of course we go on 7 wins in a row. We also go through a period where we weren't playing over COVID because there was over Christmas because of COVID and the postponements. But let's look at it objectively, like 106 goals, winning the leagues, 3 7-0s, Mitrovic 43 goals. Like, it's remarkable. Tim Ream, 250 appearances. The best season I've ever and will ever experience with Fulham. I don't think anything could top it unless we were to have a really strong season next season where we finish like 10th or 9th and just are really solid. But in terms of just success, we're not going to see anything like that. We even took Manchester City to the sword, went 1-0 up at the Etihad. Although it only lasted for about a minute and a half, it was a great feeling. And I think that Fulham have been a credit to themselves on and off the pitch this season, which makes it even more special. You think of Paul Parrish, you think of Reece Porter and things like this. It's been a season where last season was so shit with behind closed doors, 9 goals at home, relegation, and to flip it and have 106 goals, a title-winning season, and just so many good memories. It's been, for me, best season ever. Joe, it's been brilliant.
Yeah, I think if you look back on videos that we made this time last year, looking ahead to pre-season, ahead of the championship, not knowing what's going on with Parker, not knowing who our new manager would be if Parker was to go, which at that point was still, a bit 50-50, to be honest. I think the reaction from us both was, I can't be arsed with this. Like, I don't want to go back to the championship. I really can't be bothered to go to these places, to play the same teams again, to probably stumble over the line. But it's the way we've done it this season, which has been a breath of fresh air. I've never seen Fulham play football like this. I mean, if you think back to that week in, what would it have been, mid-January, start to mid-January, when we scored 19 goals in 1 week, and you just think we were absolutely spoiled rotten. And obviously, this is half the job. It means nothing other than fantastic memories if we can't solidify in the Premier League for next season, which is the ultimate aim. But I will always look back at this season with far more joy than the other 2 promotion seasons, aside from the individual playoff final games. Those days, fantastic. In particular, Villa, my best football supporting day, Fulham Football Club supporting day in my life. I don't think it will be topped, unless you're on the Premier League or something. One day, guys, one day.
Next season.
Next season. It's one of those where the whole season as a whole, just so many good moments from start to finish, maybe almost finish if you don't count Sheffield United. That Mitrovic moment to make it 7-0 against Luton, for me, I'll always remember it because it was the culmination of so many things, record-breaking wins, so many goals, fantastic atmosphere back at the Cottage, which hasn't been there for a while. And it fills me with so much positivity going into next season. But for me, that Mitrovic goal has got to be my moment of the season. I was wondering, Jack, when you look back on this season, what would your moment be, or moments?
Yeah, there's so many to choose from. I was on the podcast last week where we covered this, and the Mitrovic goal for me stands out. I know it's the easy option, but for every Fulham fan inside that stadium, it would have meant something different to them. And it's just like we all wanted it to happen. It was almost like Luton let us have that chance. I know he obviously gave the ball away in the middle of the park, and the opportunity arose, but it was the manner of the finish. Hammersmith end, weaker foot, bottom corner, last minute, shirt off. Like we've said it before, we said it on the live stream, but it's just the moment. I'll never forget it ever. Just like standing on our chairs, going absolutely berserk. Given when you score a 7th goal, you're more like more than falling down rows and rows of seats celebrating. But it was the perfect way to cap off. Especially at home as well, a season to remember. But yeah, of course, I mentioned the Millwall game when the players came over to Paul Parrish's family and his seats at the end of the game. For me, very, very special. Reece Porter at Bristol City away. And that's testament to the club, because that's not even focused on the football. That's focused on things off the pitch that have happened this season. What has been really a difficult season for the club in that aspect. But on the pitch, we've done the business. And we're back in the Premier League. And Joe, I suppose I want to ask you, mentally for you, like, how are you feeling? Because I personally feel more confident in this team going into this Premier League campaign than I did under Slavisa and Scott Parker previously. And that's not because we're living in the moment and now and we've done what we've done in the season. It's because of the manager, the philosophy, the intended targets, the competition we might face next season. I feel like there is a place for Fulham to finish above that relegation dotted line. I really do.
I do. I agree. I was quite naively confident when we went up under Parker. I think just because the elation of that Brentford win and how we managed the game against, let's face it, a better 11 on paper. I was thinking that we could do that next season in the Premier League. Didn't work out that way at all. Had a tough time getting targets in over the line. And that is the main thing for me now, is the fact that we've got so much time to get this right. And we'll talk about some targets later. We basically have time to get our first 11 ready for game one, which we haven't had before. That coupled with the spine of the team, which I think is the strongest we've had going up in these 3 instances, coupled with, as you say, the manager having Premier League experience, a clear philosophy, and I think very, very high standards for this squad. I think it all couples with our best chance of doing it. And for that reason, I am confident. I'm still very cautious, and I don't think it's a done deal at all. I think it'll be a very, very hard season. The Premier League is harder to stay in every single season. Watford and Norwich have found it again, just as we found it 2 years ago. Brentford have shown that it is possible. Leeds the year before, maybe they're going down this season, but they found that it is possible to stay up there. I think Wolves are the complete blueprint. And I know that they're in a slightly different situation in that I think their championship squad on paper was better than our championship squad. I think that they had a phenomenal squad, just as we do. I think that they are the blueprint to follow. Quality acquisitions in key areas through the spine of the team. And I think that we can stay there. They brought in Jimenez. They brought in Rui Patricio in goal, João Moutinho in central midfield, and they stayed up with flying colours. They were instantly a mid-table team. They have never been threatened by relegation. They're close to threatening for Europe. Maybe not this season.
Well, they qualified for Europe against us in the first season they went up.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And that's how quickly it can change. And that's what we have to aspire to be. I would take 17th on goal difference right now, if you ask me.
Exactly.
100%. But we are capable of doing more.
And what's the link there between Fulham and that Wolves team?
Portuguese?
Yes.
Yeah.
With Nuno and Silva, and that doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be guaranteed success in European football for Fulham, in 23-24. But the blueprint, you're completely correct. That is how you do things. And I hate to say it, but Brentford have done it as well. And they've actually stayed up quite comfortably. I mean, it was touch and go for a little bit, but they've done the job. And we'll be playing them next season. Excited for that.
I do think, Jack, you're completely right. When you say it was touch and go, they were spiraling towards a relegation zone. One quality acquisition. I mean, let's face it, an out of this world signing for their club in Ericsson changed everything. And this is what I mean about the quality additions. One can be a complete game changer.
Yeah, because on the face of it, I don't think, bar Ericsson, that squad is that good for the level, but they work hard. They have a good system. They have a player in Ivan Toney who, can get goals. He's got 2 hat-tricks this season. And I think their turning point for them was when they beat the Norwich 3-1, wasn't it? And that really turned things around for them. And, Norwich have obviously subsequently gone down. But there is room. And I think there is that little bracket of teams who have come up and really impressed. And I know we haven't done it the previous 2 times, but I generally feel like we can fit into that. And it's not down to making 10, 12 signings. It's down to signing, the right players with the right price and not overspending, not grabbing the headlines with, with sensationalized deals and stuff like that. Which of course didn't help when you were linked with Milinkovic-Savic after 48 hours of being not even champions, but promoted to the Premier League. Let's talk about that goalkeeper then, Strukoza, Albanian, which is interesting. He plays for Lazio as well, and we heard a bit from Jack J. Collins this morning because obviously he is a European football specialist, and apparently he's playing second fiddle at the moment at Lazio, and he wants to move to the Premier League. Joe, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I had a look at Transfer Market, which is quite good. So it looks like he's recently got his place back from Pepe Reina, but he'd been kept out of the squad for quite a while. You presume that's why he's rejected a contract offer and wants to leave. He did an article with The Guardian, I think it was last year, where he was basically saying it's his dream to move to the Premier League, as I'm sure it is for so many players. He's played over 200 games for Lazio. He's got Europa League experience. A few people have said he's capable of a clanger. Isn't every goalie, if we're being completely honest?
Yeah.
I think he's an experienced goalkeeper with a lot of experience that's played at the top level of Italian football and Europa League. He's the number one for his country. I honestly don't see, or was he number one for his country? Sorry. I honestly don't see why you wouldn't do it on a free. I feel like it's great business. And if he is an upgrade on Rodak, fantastic. There we go. We've got our starting goalkeeper. If he's not, we needed another goalkeeper anyway because we're losing Fabry. And let's face it, we might lose Gazzaniga because he's not had a great first season. So we need someone else. We need more quality. He's costing us £0, obviously in wages. That will sort of level it out. But if we're looking at the Manuel Solomon deal and we're looking at Strukoza, that's 2 players with European experience, both of which coming to us for under £7 million in 2 key positions for us. I mean, this is what we mean about getting our business done early.
Yeah, it's so good. You're right. The time on our side is fantastic. No Premier League experience, but I don't think that's too much of a factor. There's enough in that squad that has Premier League experience anyway. On Fulham's point of view, goalkeeper one is interesting. It looks like obviously we want Areola back. West Ham, will probably have first dibs given he's at the club. Maybe it's a case of there's some issues there. Maybe we can't get it done. He's still based in London. It would make sense. But the fact we're looking elsewhere, we've been linked with 3-4 different keepers already, apart from Areola, does say to me that I don't think that he is going to be at Fulham next season, which is a shame. But we can't just live on sentimentality. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and someone also, was like, what you're saying is, it's a great point that you're saying that we're moving on quickly because we can get so far into the window and we've had all this time. and then we haven't brought in Areola, and he decided to go to West Ham or elsewhere, and then we haven't brought in a goalkeeper that we could have had in mid-May, early
And
June.
what factors into that as well is that West Ham season isn't finished yet. They've still got another 2 games. And if we want to get this done now, or at least get someone over the line, then I suppose he goes to the back of the list because he's still, playing. His contract situation with PSG and West Ham isn't concluded yet. So, yeah, I think that's mature of us just to move on and go, look, it's a nice idea, but let's be sensible about this. So in terms of rumours, that's sort of like the main one that's going around at the moment. There's only the last 24 hours or so. Can you tell me anything else that's going on in the rumour market? Not market, rumour mill.
There's honestly not too many other dead certs. It seems like Nico Williams is going to be an interesting one, because of the Calvin Ramsey deal to Liverpool from Aberdeen, young right back. So, Williams I think will be free to leave. Whether it's to Fulham, that's another question. But I am of the opinion that £12 million is a lot for someone that is not going to be your starting right back. I really like Nico Williams. I'd be happy to see him come. But I would also be happy if we looked elsewhere at maybe slightly cheaper alternative options. Either way, I'm happy as long as we leave enough money for the key positions, which I believe are centre-back and central midfield at this point. The spine of the team needs to be improved for the Premier League. I think Tosin's good enough. I think Harrison Reed's good enough. But next to them, that's where we need improvement. And there's not really any clear-cut rumours for those positions yet. So I'm really hoping that we'll start to see some movement soon. Obviously, as you said, the Premier League's not finished yet. The Italian League's not quite finished yet. Most leagues haven't, other than the Championship. So we also have the fact that most players will go on holiday. So there might be a little bit of time for the wheels to get moving. But if we can have Strakosha in goal, if we can have Manuel Solomon in for the left wing position, then I think we're off to a fantastic start.
The thing about Manuel Solomon is, I feel like there's going to be some sort of official announcement after July 1st. So I would like to know if we're actually going to sign him so that we could just bank it and be like, okay, we'll just wait until July, as opposed to just waiting and being like, okay, it's July now. Are we actually going to do it? I'm guessing it's done, given the manner of the rumours that was, pardon the pun, that was going through from Fabrizio Romano and of the like. Before we come on to the playoffs, which I really want to talk to you about because it's the playoffs, it's very exciting, we have to touch on Tim Ream and Ream and Kebano, new contracts. This is, for me, fantastic because I had a go at myself on the podcast the other day. I said I think I was too lazy to say that Ream should just go to the MLS for a year to see out his career, when actually, if he doesn't play next season, I think he'll be very invaluable in and around the squad, in the dressing room, because that is the voice of reason. He is the voice of reason. And of course, Kebano as well earned his place, earned his contract extension. Let's hope that John Mikel Seri follows suit. We're still waiting for the retained and released list. I'm sure that will be coming soon. Every other club under the sun has put theirs out, but not Fulham yet. Joe, talk to me about Ream and Kebano.
Well, I think that from a sentimental point of view, delighted they're staying, but also from a business point of view, delighted they're staying, because we're going to need 9 players on our subs bench next season. For every player that we let go, we need a replacement for. We already need quite a few upgrades. We're losing Carvalho. If we were to lose Ream and Kebano as well, we'd need to buy an extra centre-back and an extra winger, and it doesn't make any sense. But I think they'll both be useful players for us next season. Ream, I can see him coming on at the end of the game if we're trying to see it out. Go to a 3 at the back, as Silva did at the start of this season when he brought on Mawson quite a lot to see games out. Kebano, there was a great point made by Peter Rutzler actually on the podcast that we haven't really seen Kebano in the Premier League. He's played the odd game, the odd sub appearance here and there, started maybe 5 or 6 over our 2 seasons there. He hasn't had a consistent run in the team playing valuable minutes week in and week out. And I would be really, really intrigued to see how he does, because we must remember in 2020-21, he got loaned out to Middlesbrough halfway through the season. In 2018-19, he was behind the likes of Schürrle and Babel when he came in January, Sessegnon as well, Aite. He was a bit part player. So I would love to see him have a go. I'm not saying he'll be starting every week. It sounds like Solomon is coming in if he is coming in to play in that exact position. But we can't really write Kebano off. And I thought he had a good game when he played against Man City, and that's as tough opposition as you're going to get.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, good point. And what I might do actually later is look at the appearances that Kebano did play in that 18-19 season, and if he did play last season, I can't actually remember, and just see what those games were, what the context were, how many chances did we create with him when he was on the pitch? Because I don't remember much of seeing him, and that's what's quite that's what's really refreshing about him being a part of next season, is actually he can play a major role, off the bench, starting. I think he's still a threat. Before we move to the playoffs, you mentioned a player that we must just quickly mention, Ryan Sessegnon, the new man. I mean, what has happened? He's pocketed Salah and Saka in the space of a week. We couldn't be prouder, because this is a man who I always said once he left Fulham, I will follow his career until his last kick of the football, because he meant so much to us. He came through the youth academy, got us promoted. It's a fairy tale story, and it's so good to see him playing consistently under Conte as well, of all managers, in a system that really works well for him, Joe.
He's had a phenomenal week. It really didn't look like the Spurs move was working out for him, injuries and everything else as well. But he's had a great week. I mean, going up against two of the toughest opponents he could have faced in Salah and Saka, and it's great to see him doing well. And I think this 5 at the back system where he's a wing back at Spurs is really working for him. And I will always be happy to see Ryan Sessegnon do well. I was very disappointed to see that it wasn't working out for him. I always will wish him the best. He still holds a place in my heart. Fantastic player, and honestly, good for him is all I can say.
Oh, here, like honestly, and hopefully whatever happens with Stephen, he's had a Plymouth. Plymouth just missed out on the playoffs this season. That would have been nice for him to be involved within the playoffs, but obviously, there was a point where they were both playing at the same time. Their careers have completely taken a different trajectory, and I'd love to see Stephen in and around the squad next season. But realistically, I don't think that's going to be an option. I think another loan. I think a championship loan is next for Steven Sessegnon, and then maybe we can start thinking about maybe being in the. I don't know. He's got an option. He's got an option on his deal, hasn't he? A 1-year extension. Yeah. I wouldn't feel right if we were to release him. I don't think that would reflect very well on us. That's not out of sentimentality either. That's just down to the kid's still got potential. He's still very young. And he's had some good minutes this season in a good Plymouth team who were very unlucky to miss out on the playoffs. Talking of which, let's move to the playoffs before we finish. Yeah. Joe, Luton v Huddersfield tonight. Blades host Nottingham Forest on tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I think Tuesday and Wednesday, the second legs, or was it Monday, Tuesday? I'm not sure. I think it might be Monday, Tuesday.
Not sure. Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's Monday, Tuesday, actually, definitely. How are you feeling? Obviously, we don't have a say in it. Yeah. We don't really care. But who would you like to see go up? Who do you want to play next season? What's the narrative saying for you?
So I've got a sneaky feeling that Luton and Huddersfield is going to be a very tight game over 2 legs. I mean, I think both of them will be, actually. I think they're both quite evenly matched. I'm glad that the games have fallen like this. I think that Huddersfield are going to get through. I've been impressed with them. I think they've gone under the radar. They did a complete job on us at Craven Cottage. And I was impressed with them. So I think Huddersfield are going to go through over 2 legs against Luton. I think they might lose the first leg at Kenilworth Road. Wouldn't surprise me. But at home, with their ultras behind the goal, I think they'll do it. I think that at Sheffield United and Nottingham Forest, Sheffield United will go through, which I wasn't expecting to say. But I think that Forest have gone off the boil slightly, seen in their game against Bournemouth, seen in their game against Hull. And I know that Hull was a bit of a meaningless one, but they could have secured 3rd place if they'd won it. I think Sheffield United have the momentum, and I think that Sheffield United will do it. I think the final will be Huddersfield-Sheffield United, and in a one-off game...
That's a derby as well.
It's a derby. I cannot look past Huddersfield. Sheffield United have got a bad playoff record. Huddersfield have got a great one. And also, in a one-off game, I just fancy Huddersfield to do a complete job on a team that probably has the better 11. I think they'll set up solidly. I think they'll grab a goal from somewhere, and I think they'll do it. And I think we'll see Huddersfield joining us in the Barclays.
I honestly think if Huddersfield do it, that's a bigger achievement than under Wagner. Because Corberan has taken them from Yeah, he was like the second coming of Bielsa and whatever, like when he was at Leeds. But in terms of like where they were last season, I literally predicted them to go down, and I think
Yeah,
NTT20 did as well, and that's insane. I think Huddersfield will be in the final. I can't call it for the Blades Forest game. All I will say is I don't really mind who goes up, bar Sheffield United. I'll tell you for why. Because they went down with us last season and we were just there and we lost 4-0 and I can't really bother to do it all over again.
yeah,
And also for the fact that Morgan Gibbs White might come to Fulham if
yeah.
they don't go up.
That's what we're hoping for anyway. I would
Yeah,
say, actually, I'm thinking of all 4 teams, maybe with the exception of Luton, actually, without being unfair. If any of them don't go up, I'd be looking at some of their players. For example, Huddersfield, Levi Colwill on loan from Chelsea. I'd be all
Lewis
over that
O'Brien.
as one of our centre backs. Um,
Lewis O'Brien,
Lewis
definitely.
O'Brien, central midfield, fantastic.
Yeah,
Forest, got to look at Brennan Johnson.
yeah.
Would he come to us? I don't know. And then Sheffield United. I mean, there's actually quite a few at Sheffield United I quite like the look of, including Sander Berge. So,
Sander Berge and Dai,
and your mate Morgan Gibbs White, of course.
my
So we
best
have to
mate.
see what happens. Yeah.
It's going to be very exciting. And then finally, one more Premier League team is set to go down out of, I think, Leeds, Everton, Burnley. I think Everton actually are pretty much, I think they're safe. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, if they'd have won against Watford, I'd be 100% sure they're fine
They're
because they
13 to
drew.
1 to go down now.
I think they need another result, whether it
Yeah,
even be a draw, just to be 100% sure. But I think it's going to be Leeds.
I can't believe it. It's out of
I
nowhere.
can't believe it. I can't believe it. But
I
I'm
can't believe
delighted.
it.
I'm delighted.
I don't wish relegation on anyone. And actually, the Bielsa story last season when they went up was really winding me up. And they lost like 6-2 to United and still getting praised for it. But I've actually quite grown to quite like the team now. And Jesse Marsh, I went to see them against Watford. They won 3-0, and I genuinely thought that was it. They're staying up. But it just, I can't believe the amount of red cards and the poor results they've had. Just very naive, silly decisions made by Ayling and Dan James. And I think they've only got themselves to blame if they go down. If they do, it's extraordinary because we've suddenly gone and leapfrog Leeds.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have seen that coming a year or so ago.
No.
I'm going to hopefully try and do the Championship playoff final. I'm going to put my hat in the ring and maybe League One and League Two as well. That would be insane. But
That'd be fantastic.
I can't get too excited about that yet. I still need to inquire.
Yeah.
That has been, for me, a very productive video. I feel like we've got through a lot. We've got through the key topics. I can't wait now for this to go up. And then like an hour later, we've been linked with a massive player and we have to re-record next week. But Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure. And the season's done. Fulham are champions with Premier League. Happy days.
Yeah, happy days, Jack. Thanks everyone for watching. And before we go, I'd actually like to ask you guys, what sort of content would you like to see from us over the summer? We want to talk about transfer rumours. We want to talk about new kits, retained lists, all of the best stuff. But please do let us know what sort of content you'd like to see on this channel.
Yeah, I would be very much down for this. And I know, obviously, 9 o'clock in the morning, people have got work and they're doing things. In an ideal world, we'd go live when the fixtures are released.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to see a live stream at like 5 or 6 or 7 in the evening where we react to the fixtures and we break them down like month by month and key moments and key areas, key dates, I think Joe would be very down for that. That'd be very
I'd be so down for that, Jack.
Oh, I love fixture release day, and we can compare it with who else is playing. We get all silly and start making predictions, and it's what the summer's all about.
We'll get 4 points from there, and we'll get 2 points
exactly.
from there.
Honestly,
and we mustn't forget the table predictor will be released on the same day, and you can predict the whole season if you've got about 8 hours to spare.
I remember Norwich. Obviously, Norwich started with Liverpool at home, City away, and they had 0 points after 6 games. We cannot be in that position. What's key, Joe, is what Brentford did: early points. We need early points, but that's like a month away at least. The fixture release day, we'll probably have 3 or 4 Jack and Joe shows before that, where we just transfer rumor it. Like Joe said, let us know what you want to see. Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yep, you too, Jack. Thanks everyone for watching, and see you next time.
Yep. Half an hour of great content. Well, I don't want to toot our own horn. Hopefully, it's been great content. We'll be back very, very soon, I'm sure. Keep the rumours flowing, Fulham. And yeah, everyone stay safe and come on Fulham.